Hey everyone, Paulie here from HardDrive Radio, and I am very happy to be joined in the studio today by a pair of stupid heavy metal broken-hearted loser punks.
Oh, well done.
Thank you very much.
That was great.
It's Mike Sheils and Matt Bigland of Dinosaur Pile-Up. Guys, thank you so much for coming out today.
Of course, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Pleasure.
It is very exciting to have you guys back here in the States. You got a brand new album out right now, and you're touring on it, and I just got to start at the beginning and just say, coming back to the U.S. after you guys have been away for a while, are you enjoying your time here? Is it everything that you remembered? Has the place changed at all a little bit?
I mean, dude, it's great to be back here. This is a really long tour for us, so it's like a total trip anyway, like a real experience. Obviously, we were just out on the Shinedown tour, and that's rolled straight into our own headline, so this is like our 10th week. And we love touring the States, we feel like our music like connects over here because I don't know, like the kind of rock crowds over here really get into stuff, and they seem to be really connecting with what we're doing on this record, So it's cool to be back, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like it's the longest tour we've ever done, and I think this is the only kind of place where you can tour for 9.5 weeks.
Yeah,
and it's so varied as you travel around. It sort of keeps it quite fresh. This is the second loop of the country we've done on this run.
Yeah,
we've done 20,000 miles.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But the only thing that I've noticed has changed is probably like the political climate. I feel. Yeah, it's just a bit of a bummer.
It's a weird time right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll fix that when the next election comes around, though.
Yeah.
So the new album is Celebrity Mansions. Tell me about when you guys started work on this one. When did the writing all get fired up?
Well, I mean, the writing, I guess, actually started when we were touring the States. So after 1111, our third record, we were touring the States a lot for kind of three years, sort of solidly. And I'm kind of always writing, and a lot of the writing, the little ideas and stuff and like seeds of songs actually happens in sound checks. I don't know why, I guess just because like our stuff is set up and like, the guitars sound big and,
And we always have to play something, and you normally just noodle.
Yeah.
Come up with something.
Often that's like it's good because you're kind of just having fun. I'm just playing something that I'm like, oh, that's rad. And then often we're like, actually, that is really
Record
good. So a lot of it happens in soundcheck. So Celebrity Mansions was written the same way. Like a lot of it was done in sound checks, or at least the ideas. A lot of it, we were living in an RV. We were driving in an RV for all of those tours. So a lot of the writing happened in that RV as well. And then when I'd get back home off the road, I'd kind of flesh out those ideas and kind of make them into songs. So a lot of that kind of energy of like, the sort of danger, and I don't mean that like danger literally. I mean, the excitement and the kind of energy and chaos of being on the road and stuff, that kind of went into the songs, which is really cool. And we just wanted to make a fun record that was a slamming rock record, but that was fun. And sometimes, I mean, definitely, like sometimes even now, like we talk about that and how maybe rock music is, there's still so much great rock music out there, but there's not loads of like fun rock music out there where it's like, where you're not necessarily always wearing black, or you're not always necessarily moody or whatever. You're just like kicking it about something else. And I feel like a lot of Celebrity Mansions is kind of on that kind of vibe. Like Thrash Metal Cassette is just about touring, and it's about that life and that sort of energy and that sort of feeling, I guess, of fun, I suppose. And like a lot of the songs, like Stupid Heavy Metal, for instance, is the same.
I did want to ask about Thrash Metal Cassette because it's the first track on the album. It's a great way to kick things off. And I was wondering, like, is that inspired by, an actual experience? You guys like driving out to LA listening to one cassette in your car?
Yeah. I mean,
oh my God.
Yeah, a lot. The riff of that song, that was first born in a sound check in Orlando. And I just started noodling on that riff, and I turned around, there was a stage hand kind of off the side of the stage, and he was listening, just kind of like into it. He obviously thought it was like one of our songs, and I was like, that's rad, because he's instantly like connected with that thing. So I kept it and started writing on it. And yeah, the Thrash Metal Cassette thing was that was actually, I think that was a Europe tour, and we had that Melvins tape.
Right.
I can't remember what van we were in though, but all we had was a Melvins tape, and I don't even think it was ours. Like, we love the Melvins, but I don't know why we had a Melvins tape. And anyway, all we had was that, so we just had freaking Honey Bucket on repeat, just like hours and hours of Honey Bucket, and yeah, and so it was written about that, but like that whole experience of driving to LA was obviously like from the US tours and stuff. And obviously, like I mentioned, like the El Rey Theatre and stuff like that. We played the El Rey a couple of times, supporting a couple of different bands. Never our headline show, but I was I like that. I mean, I always love getting into LA. Like, sort of, it's similar to arriving in New York. It's kind of, you get a kind of a buzz, and sort of that kind of dream or whatever of like getting to arrive in LA and like you're headlining the El Rey, like. I don't know. It was kind of like about that idea, I guess.
You ever have to call your mom and be like, "Hey, Ma, I made it"?
What to
just like playing the El Rey Theatre?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm kicking ass out of here.
She probably wouldn't get it. I'd be like, "Hey, Mom, I've made him playing the El Rey." She'd be like, "Cool, lovely."
So when you're ready to record, you've got all your songs boiled down to the golden nuggets. Where do you go, and who do you work with?
Well, I mean, the first thing I do is send them to Mike and Jim usually, like, cause like I've always worked in that way where I'll do them, like I'll write the stuff and then I kind of take it to the boys, and usually if I'm excited about a song, they get excited about the same song. It's rare that we kind of disagree on that. And like, yeah, so I'll send the songs to the boys, we get stoked, and we kind of get stoked on various songs, and then we kind of dig into those songs, and when we're rehearsing them and stuff, if there's something that we feel like should happen where it doesn't, we'll kind of maybe look into that and like, dig into the song a little bit.
Yeah,
and
live with it for a bit.
Yeah.
And then get the collection together and sort of try and work out who we think is going to be best to make it an album.
Yeah, exactly. And this time that happened to be Larry.
Yep.
Because Larry's a good friend of mine, good friend of ours. I've known him for like at least 10 years or something.
It's definitely not because his studio is next door to our practice studio. That
definitely
is
not because of that.
Larry, we love you.
And so Larry, often if I want to send a song to like someone important, so it needs to sound good or whatever, I'll be like, "Hey lads, let's demo this song." And he's just killer. And I always loved the demos that me and Larry would make, and the process was the same for this. Like, a couple of the songs I was really excited about: thrash metal, stupid heavy metal, Round the Bend, K West. They were all the first songs that kind of came about, and I demoed them with Larry and sent them to everybody, like management, and obviously the boys heard them and everything. And when they came back, they were just so rad. Everyone was so excited about them, but like more so than usual. Like, usually people hear a good demo and they're like, "Yeah, this is sick," but like people were like, "This is so off the chain." So we were just like, well, why don't we just kind of keep on doing this? And like,
yeah, like, because because you've been demoing with Larry for quite a while. Like, I remember trying to just recreate the vibe of the demo.
Yeah.
And really struggling.
Yeah.
So then it was this time, like, should we just do it with Larry?
Yeah, because then we don't have to try and make it better than the demo.
Yeah.
Because the demo's right anyway.
One of the things I love about this band is, the sound that you guys have, and it's really kind of like a raw, out of the garage kind of sound. It doesn't have a lot of like that, unnecessary polish that some rock bands have these days. Is it deceptively complicated, like trying to get that sound, or is it really just record it and however good it sounds is how good it sounds?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like trying to smoke and mirror it, is it, or whatever, but it is kind of out of the box.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not like when people wake up and make their hair all messy. It's just
yeah.
how it is.
Yeah, like obviously we put a bunch of stuff to kind of accentuate moments in the track and stuff, but there's really not a lot going on there. Like, it's just big drums, big guitars. Does that guitar sound killer? Yeah, well, okay, that's it. Do you know? And like, I think it's difficult because obviously we always wanted to be a big band. So by making music that's you know, like you said, like fairly raw and maybe not overly produced, that doesn't mean that we want to kind of cut ourselves out of the of opportunities to be a big band. We just want to do it our way and like with integrity and stuff, instead of being like, oh, we're going to make a big rock record now, we have to completely change what we're about. Like,
there's definitely songs on the album that we've had fun with though, where like, for example, Back Foot, the single, there's just loads of extra random little bits in there that you were producing with Larry for like months on end.
Yeah, I just got really carried away with having fun with that. Like, it's funny, like Back Foot has loads of like stupid stuff in it, but that's literally like, I don't know,
little kids in the background saying slob and
yeah, exactly.
I was wondering about that too. I'm like, you know, you're putting the song together. When you're writing the song, do these things kind of pop into your brain? You got to like write it down. Like that would be funny.
Yeah. Well, actually, usually on the first like draft of the demo, I just do it all. So there's me like pretending to be a kid going slob, and you know, it's super weird. Like me just like making weird noises and stuff for stuff that we'll do properly later.
Some creepy early demos.
Yeah. Like for instance, actually talking of creepy early demos, can you remember the first demo of thrash metal?
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
So
strange.
Because I recorded it in my flat in my apartment, which is in a block of flats that are all small and really close to each other. So I couldn't be just like screaming my freaking face off doing all the things. So I had to record the vocal normally, but then whenever it would get to the screams, the closest thing I could think of like what would sound like a scream is just me whispering. And
it's like something from a horror film. Honestly,
it's super weird. So they would get to like thrash metal cassette, but like triple tracked. And I remember playing it to Mike and Jim, and they were like, "You're not gonna do it like that, though, are you?" Like, funny, man.
Dinosaur Pile-Up writes a serial killer album.
Yeah, it was super weird.
Tell me a little bit about the song Round the Bend. You played that for us today. An acoustic version was beautiful, and the album version is, you know, fantastic too. Tell me about, you know, what went into putting that song together.
In terms of writing it, yeah, I mean, Round the Bend, like the whole time period coming up to finishing recording Celebrity Mansions was quite a tough time. Like being in a rock band is hard, and being in this rock band is hard because it's like, you know, we're not exactly like mainstream pop music and stuff. So in this day and age, it's hard to like make a living and make that a viable life choice, I guess. So it was kind of tough times, like right through all that writing period and the recording of it and everything, and that whole period was like, you know, 4 years long. And Round the Bend was just a particularly low point where I guess I was just super bummed out and kind of at the edge of my sort of limits of like staying positive and, you know, sort of staying in it, I guess. So it was mainly written about that. Like it's as a song, it kind of sounds like it's about a relationship, and I guess in many ways
kind of is,
yeah. I mean, I guess it is. Like there were
relationship with
the band and stuff. Yeah, totally.
I mean, there's lines in there that's like for sure probably created because of actual relationships with people, but the main gist of the song is about me just being like, you know, I just don't know that, you know, I don't know if I can kind of stay in this, and you know, you're kind of, we've been doing this a long time, so your kind of limits are pushed, and I know that like all of us have felt that. Like we've talked about that a lot before, so I guess it was just about that. I don't know.
It's interesting because like we'll be driving for hours, and like sometimes we don't really speak a lot, and then
not because we're fighting, just because
just because you're exhausted, or like we're listening to music, and then Matt will show us like a demo, and I'm like, oh, that's what you've been thinking about the last two tours.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mike, does Matt ever play you stuff sometimes, and you're like maybe a little worried about him?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah.
You ever get a little concerned?
No, I know he's always been fragile. That's fine.
I mean, that worries me. Am I? Oh shit.
in a you've got it together kind of way, you know.
No, I am fragile. I'll say it. I'm on the edge, even right now. No, I'm kidding.
There's a little bit right in the beginning of Round the Bend. I assume it's just something that was recorded when you guys were like, why did you choose to leave that in there?
Just because it was funny, and I liked the kind of off the cuffness of it. Like, I like moments like that in records. Like, you know, I sometimes don't like when a band, any band or us or whatever, I don't like it when you kind of neuter a record by overthinking it, and it suddenly, or maybe not suddenly, but it slowly becomes something that's actually kind of lifeless. And I think music, particularly what we're doing, it should have like life in it, and it shouldn't be totally neutered and totally perfect and stuff. So there's loads of little moments like where
it gives it a bit of context, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you closing the door.
Yeah.
You're like, you ready? Larry's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was months in, and me and Larry just like, I don't know what I'm doing. But there's like moments at like the end of Celebrity Mansions, the title track, that last vocal finishes, and then you can hear this like, that's the dehumidifier in my flat, because a lot of those vocals are from the first demo that I recorded on my own in my flat. And I live in a small damp box, so I have a dehumidifier. And the vocals are really good, so Larry was like, let's just keep a bunch of these and just throw them in. But the dehumidifier, once you've gained up the vocal to make it sound better or whatever, it picks up all the ambient noise. So there was this freaking dehumidifier like through the whole thing. You can't hear it in the track, but when you remove everything else at the end of the song, it's still there. And I kind of like moments like that, because people might not realize what that is. But to me, whenever that track ends, if I'm listening to the record and I hear it, it literally puts me in that place. I'm like, oh yeah, you just stood in your shorts recording vocals in your shitty flat.
See, and that's what I was wondering too, because I was listening to the song and it's, you know, it sounds high quality recorded, and then there's like two bits in the song where kind of just the quality drops out and it sounds like a demo again.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was wondering, was that on purpose, or was that just the demo sounded so good that you just wanted to use that bit?
Yeah. That we just like, there's moments of, I mean, the whole lead vocal on Back Foot is the demo vocal, just because me and Larry just couldn't get it better. We were like, that just has a real vibe, and it's not the best vocal, but we were just like, it just kills, so let's just use that. Like Round the Bend, like it has that moment in the middle where it all drops out and it's just a tiny demo. That was a demo, that's just me recording into a tape player, and it just sounded cool. So and I liked that intimacy, and I liked that. Because a lot, a song like Round the Bend, when I'm writing a big rock song, usually it's on an electric guitar and it's big to begin with. But like a song like Round the Bend, maybe I did write that acoustically to begin with, and me sat on the edge of my bed or whatever, slowly playing that song at 11 p.m. Like that's kind of, where it came from. So I like the fact that you get a piece of that in the recording, rather than just bulldozing all of that intimacy out of it.
When you're on the road, if you're on the van, between gigs, you have a guitar on you, or are you just plucking away? Is it an electric? Is it an acoustic?
Well, when we had the RV, yeah, I would always, in fact, I'd always have my main guitar with me, but there was nowhere to keep it, so I actually had to just sleep with it in my bunk. So I had to like fit into my tiny bunk that was tiny anyway.
That's what you have to do if you want to make it in rock and roll.
Right.
Sleep with your guitar.
Yeah, have a very intimate relationship with your instrument.
Yeah. You got to know it. So yeah, I would always weird. I'd always in the RV I'd have my guitar, and I had I could plug in and stuff. So I'd do a lot of little demoing, like again, Stupid Heavy Metal. The kind of guitar pattern of that on the original demo, I laid down half of it in the RV and half of it in a backstage room in, where was that one? Remember?
I think it's Orlando, maybe.
I don't think that was Orlando.
No?
Anyway, someplace. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, so like I would always have opportunity to do that just because I had my guitar on me all the time. This tour we're in a van, so I don't have that opportunity. So I spend a lot of time just thinking about stuff. I use my phone a lot, like in the soundcheck stuff. Like we'll always record that idea really quick onto my phone. So I spend a lot of time re-listening to like that last idea I did, and then just kind of thinking about that like a weirdo. And imagining what I can do with it, which is actually really frustrating because I'm like, oh, sick, and I kind of get into writing it, but I can't do anything because I have nothing with me. So, yeah.
For this record, you guys have a new label that you're putting things out on, and you know, for us here in the States, the name Parlophone, we might not know exactly the history behind a label like that, but for you guys in the UK, I mean, this is, you know, the label that signed the Beatles.
Yeah.
So it's got to be, you know, when you got that call, was it like a moment for you? Did you have to freak out a little bit, or was it just another day? You're like, all right, cool.
No, definitely was not another day. Like, that was a big, I mean, a really, really big moment for us because
something that even our parents would understand.
Yeah.
Right? That was like one of those.
It's not, and you don't get a lot of those moments. Like, you know, sometimes your families can be kind of disconnected from what this is and how much energy it takes and what it means and stuff. So it's rare that something kind of connects like that. You know, like when we supported Muse for a couple of shows, and I remember telling my brother, and he was like, whoa, and I was like, dude, we've done a lot of cool stuff. Just anyway, so when the Parlophone thing, like, because when we went, all the writing of Celebrity and all the recording process for the whole thing, we didn't have a label. Our management didn't know what we were going to do. We had no options, really. We were just like, we're just going to go and make this record and see what happens and hope that something happens. So that was terrifying, really, because we were like, we're just kind of floating, and it was just, it was a pretty lonely, you know, terrifying time. But at the same time, it was kind of creatively expansive because we were like, well, no one's watching and no one's telling us what we should be doing or what they would like us to do. So we're like, screw it, like, we're just going to make this awesome record that we want to make and it's super fun and weird, and if no one likes it, well, no one was watching anyway, you know. So it was kind of freeing, but when we finished it, it was like, you know, it got real because we were like, yeah, we just don't have any options. And our management had previously sent it to a couple of the demos to Parlophone months back, and they were like, yeah, this is cool, but we can't really do anything. And we thought that was like it. And then they happened to hear back for it when we finished it, and they called us up and we signed with them 2 weeks later. But that for us was such a crazy flip of realities and such an insane opportunity that I guess we just thought we'd gotten used to the idea that that would never happen to us. Like, the fact that Parlophone Records was going to sign a rock band anyway is absolutely insane. But the fact that they would sign a rock band as heavy as, say, Dinosaur Pile-Up was literally 1 in a billion. And then
their fourth album.
On their fourth record, yeah. And then the fact that that band is us, like, out of all the bands, they were like, yeah, we're gonna do this one. It was just like so wild, like literally 1 in a million. So we were just totally blown away. And I remember I told my mum, and she was stoked, obviously. She was like blown away by it, but she called me the next day, I guess, when she'd had some time to think about it. And yeah, that was like a deeply heavy, like that was the kind of heavy day that you were explaining. She was like, you know, we've been doing this a long time. We haven't made it by any means. We haven't made loads of money by any means, but it means, you know, what has happened means that we kind of don't have to worry about like being able to pay our rent for maybe 6 months or whatever. And that in our reality is like bonkers. So she was just like really, really stoked and kind of proud of us that we'd kind of not quit over a 12-year period of grinding, you know. So yeah, it was a big deal to us.
So, you know, before the Parlophone thing, did your families get what you guys were doing, or were they just kind of like, okay, maybe it's a phase that they'll grow out of? Like, Mike, you know, is your family supportive of what you do, being a musician for a living?
Yeah, I'm actually really lucky. My mum's super into it, and her husband have both really helped me throughout the whole process of being in a band, because it does cost a lot of money, and you do need a lot of support, like emotionally and financially, from everybody around. So yeah, I've been really lucky. Yeah,
my mum's super supportive too, like in exactly the same way that Mike said. She just had to worry a lot, you know. I'm sure, like Mike's mum, there's a lot of like worry there. and that sucks. You worry about yourself. You don't want your parents, or parent worrying about you as well. You kind of don't want to put that on them. So yeah, that sucked, but they've always been super supportive and stuff, and it's nice for us that we now have that opportunity that we have to kind of be able to give that back and say, check it out.
Well, speaking of opportunity, again, you guys are touring in the States right now. You just wrapped up a great run with Shinedown. That was awesome. You guys came through Jersey. I caught you. It was freaking awesome. Tell me about that run and maybe just a couple highlights, maybe some of your favorite stops along the way.
Did we have the backdrop then?
Where?
In Jersey when you saw us?
Yeah.
The big one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a highlight. That was a massive highlight.
Yeah. So we started that Shinedown tour with our crappy little backdrop that we've had for years. It's about the size of a towel, and it's been through the ringer. It's got holes in it. It's beat up.
On the first show with Shinedown, because they're used to like these massive banners that have Velcro on them. We didn't realise that that's what you needed because we've never been in this situation before, really. And they pulled it down because we obviously put these ropes on it so you could pull the backdrop down.
We tied on.
We didn't realise you need Velcro, so it just ripped like half.
Yeah, so all the stagehands pulled it off and just ripped it.
We were like,
watch. Yeah.
Our t-shirt.
You're paying for that.
Yeah. And that's so true. Like in these amphitheaters, it literally looked like we were hanging a t-shirt. It was just so embarrassing. So we were on that tour with our backdrop. Shinedown are the nicest dudes, like so supportive and just really
always happy
lovely.
to see us, always with a smile backstage, happy to talk.
Yeah, always giving us advice and stuff. They're just amazing people. And we're in Phoenix playing a show. There's 5,000 people in front of us or something, and I get a note from the sound guy saying into my in-ears, my monitors in my ears, and he's like, "We've got to stop, Matt, because we've got a really, really big problem with the sound desk. So there's something we just have to stop." And I was like, "Okay." I wasn't in the best mood anyway, because there was a guy in the front row shouting at me for the whole thing. I was like, "This is cool."
I can't hear you. Matt's like, "Okay, I'm just trying. I can't hear you." Matt's like, "There's nothing I can do." I was
like, "Dude, I'm kind of busy.
I'm trying to play."
Anyway, so I wasn't in a great mood. And I get this thing, I have to stop there. And most nights I'd been talking about our backdrop and how pathetic it was. And it was
at this point, it's just draped over your amps now, isn't it?
Yeah, so we couldn't hang it. It's just draped over my amps. I mean, it was awful. And it would kind of become a thing that I'd talk about it and stuff. Anyway, I was in such a bad mood that show that I didn't want to talk about it, and I hadn't talked about it. So I get the note saying stop, and Steve, the sound guy, is like, "Do the backdrop thing. Talk about the backdrop thing whilst we fix this problem." And I was like, cool. And I was like, because I was so pissed, I was like, "This is our shitty backdrop. There it is." And didn't say anything because I was just in a bad mood.
No context. Just
no context.
Shit.
I was just and then I start to kind of get ready to play again, and I hear loads of people shouting, being like, Matt, turn around. Turn around. I turn around. Mikey's getting
literally
up.
screaming, Matt! Because I can see Charlie, their stage manager, coming on. The only other time I've seen him do that was to shut down Badflower because of weather on one of these other shows. So I was like, shit, we're being cut for something. Something's going on. So I was screaming at Matt.
So I turn around, see Mike screaming at me, and he's getting up, being like, "We're getting cut." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And there's 12 people walking on the stage. I'm like, okay, something's going down, but we're getting thrown off stage. So I was super bummed out. So my emotions were just all over the place. And all these guys walk across this huge black drape that's draping over the back of the stage. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? And they all just yank the drape, and behind it is a headliner-sized festival backdrop with Dinosaur Pile-Up across it that was brand new, looked absolutely incredible, and Shinedown had got it designed, ordered it, paid for it, got it sent to Phoenix, hung it up without us realizing it, which is crazy because we sound checked before, so I have no idea how we didn't see it, because it's 1,000,000 feet wide. And they'd bought us this whole brand new backdrop, and that I mean, the reason why we'd been using our crappy one for so long is because that ain't cheap. They're a lot of money, so we couldn't afford it. And they'd just gone out and bought it, sent it, put it up, everything, just pulled it down in the middle of this Phoenix show, and it was just unbelievable. Like,
you can go on our Instagram and see it.
Yeah.
Like, we captured it. Well, our sound guy knew about it, so he was filming it.
It's just wow. That was just one of the most amazing things, and like that just doesn't happen. You know, people. You know, money is money, and like people don't have a lot of it to spare on other people, particularly in the rock world or the music world in general, and just in the world in general. Like, how nice is that just to do that for someone else? It's a lot of money, and it was just so mind blowing because they saw how much we're trying and they saw what we needed, and they just decided to do it. It was just absolutely wild. Like, we ran after that set, we ran back to their backstage to obviously say thank you and stuff. And they were like, we don't want any thanks. We just want you to have your own success. And when you do, we want you to do that for someone else that needs it. I mean, yeah, just what a amazing thing to do for someone.
That is the greatest story.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was
It's
wild.
ridiculous.
Are you guys bringing that backdrop on the road with you now for your headline tour?
Well, if we hung it, it would say Pile. That was
The venues aren't quite big enough now at the moment.
So, not yet.
Not
So
yet.
you can hang on to it for now.
Yeah.
Tell me about the headline run you guys are on right. Is this your first like U.S. headline run?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's like this is our 8th tour. 8th
Eighth
US
tour, first headline.
first headline.
But it's honestly, it's blown us away. Like,
Yeah.
filling sort of over 100 people in a room every night.
Yeah. Like, we were just talking about that yesterday. Like, if we were to do our first headline show in the UK, whenever we did that, years ago, there's no way that 100 people would show up every night.
You played to a couple in Coventry.
Yeah,
literally.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It's just a couple.
Just a few.
Yeah.
No, literally just a couple.
Like
like
a
two.
girlfriend
Yeah.
and boyfriend.
That was it.
Stood on the barrier. Like, we just played the gig for them.
Wow.
It was,
Tapping on the foot, like, when does it end?
yeah. Do you want us to keep going? All right. Yeah, so it's been wild, man. And like, everyone's so nice that we meet. Like, we feel really lucky because seemingly our fans are all super nice people. And we're always going out and meeting them afterwards and stuff. And it's just super cool. Like Mike said, we're blown away by the turnout. We're blown away by the reaction and everything. It's awesome.
And everyone's coming to see you. Obviously, what's the fan reaction been for the album? Are you seeing people singing back to you every night?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, people are seemingly really connecting with this record, like singing all the words back. Like, back foot is deafeningly loud, which is crazy.
All the woos. They love the
They
woos.
love the woos.
I love the woos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More woos.
Yeah.
Next record.
Next
right?
record is just going to be woos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5th record by Dinosaur Pile-Up.
Woo.
Woo.
But yeah, it's been amazing. Like, even the album's not even been out that long, and people singing along all the album tracks because we're playing nearly the whole record live at the moment.
Yeah. Which is
So
cool
that's
for us as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we're like, we want to play the whole record. Like, you spend a lot of time with records making them, then you spend a lot of time promoting them, and like afterwards, it's totally normal. By the end of that, however long, you're just like, let's just play those 4 because they're cool.
Yeah, you kind of work out which ones go well or which ones you like playing.
Yeah.
But on this one, it is literally the whole
It's
album.
literally the whole record, which is killer.
Yeah.
So,
All killer, no filler.
yeah.
There you go. Well, the album is Celebrity Mansions. The band is Dinosaur Pile-Up. Matt Bigland, Mike Sheils. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. This was a blast.
Appreciate
Thanks for having
it,
us.
man. Thanks.